Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel, and in today's video I want to talk about the new shadow update coming with the Darkmoor update. This system is called Shadow Pact, so they're basically trying to rework some of the older spells like Dark Nova and whatnot to make them more useful in both PvE and PvP, which is a good idea because a lot of the old shads are pretty bad. They used to be decent, like, back in their day, back in their time, but I feel like it's kind of fair to say Wiz has evolved so much since then, to the point that those older spells are just inconsequential and terrible now. So I do want to start the video off here with a positive. Like, again, I think the idea and the initiative is there on King Styles' end, and it's not terrible, but on the other end, as you'll see later on in this video, I kind of think some of these things are just change for the sake of change, and it kind of ruins some of the PvE legacy, like immersion, I guess, but we'll get to that later on in the video, because right now you guys have no idea what the heck I am talking about. So what is Shadow Pact? Well, it is essentially another Shad audit combined with the Fusion update. That's the best way I can possibly explain it to you guys. So already you're probably thinking like, Liam, this already seems kind of wild, like just change for the sake of change, right? And at least on the PvE end, I kind of do agree with that. Furthermore, how these new spells are going to work, like Dark Nova, Shrike, and all of them, basically they're going to have a new utility and all, and you're still going to take backlash, but the backlash works differently. So right now, I think if you do, like, let's say you Shrike and you do everything that the game hates, you could take half your HP pretty much. However, if you Shrike or use Dark Nova now and you just do nothing, the maximum you're going to take is 15% of your health bar. So of course that is nice. On top of this, if you do something that the spell likes, so for example in Shrike, if you blade or hit, Shrike likes that, right? If you do that 3 times, you'll essentially take 0 lash, which is pretty cool. To me, this is like a neat gimmick, maybe like a path B kind of thing. Absolutely terrible for PvP for a lot of reasons we'll talk later in this section, primarily about Shrike, because that's the one that the community is very, very upset about right now. Like, I saw the Wiz cord yesterday, and I got 14 DMs, by the way, I woke up to, and people are freaking out on the Discord about the Shrike change. So we'll talk about that a whole bit later on here in the video. But yeah, I mean, for now, it seems like a neat gimmick. I don't think these spells should replace the OG legacy ones, at least not like Shrike and whatnot. Because let's take PvP and PvE for example. Like, if you like the old Shrike and whatnot, like, you could just go top path and use that, or if you want to use the new bottom path one and its gimmick, like, you can also do that. It's good to have options. The next thing we're going to talk about are going to be the actual spells themselves, like Glow Bugs, Bull, and Snowball Barrage, because a lot of these spells are fan favorites in the PvE community and the PvP community. I know fires like their Bull, ices like their Snowball Barrage, and whatnot, but these spells will be getting significantly nerfed this update because, like I said, the base shadow spell is not going to be on the card, which basically means it'll be significantly weaker, like 50% weaker, really bad. And the way you get that spell back is really terrible. Okay, so to my understanding, this is how it works, right? Let's take your live realm Glow Bugs, right? It's about 1100 damage, I think, with an enchant around there. The new base version of Glow Bugs is going to be about half of that at around 500 damage. And the way you get the OG Glow Bugs back, as in the live realm one right now, you essentially have to put in the new shitty Glow Bugs, you have to put in a spell like Dark Nova, fuse them together, as in like enchant them together, and then after that you have to epic enchant it after that, just to use the spell you originally had and you're used to in normal PvE. Which I think is why people are upset about this, right? It's just like, you have to click so much more, train so much more, engage in these, other systems for what reason? Just to make the game more complicated? I just don't really understand it. A very easy solution to this, they could just make 3 paths, kind of like they did with like Gearhead or whatever. Like, have a legacy version for the PvE players who don't want to do all this crap, because PvE players really don't like change. You know, it's always the, you know, again, not throwing shade here, but it's always the PvE players who are the ones complaining that, you know, they're changing the game too fast and whatnot. So instead of compromising the majority of the community and making them upset and stuff like that, like rattling the PvE community is a good way to put it, I feel like. You could just have a path where it's the OG, you know, legacy, casual PvE, Glowbug, Bull, Barrage, whatever, right? Then you could have the path for the new stuff as well, where it's not actually a shad. I think this is much better. It doesn't, you know, upset the PvE casuals. It doesn't make the game complicated just for the sake of being more complicated. But yeah, as of right now though, for every spell, so like Glowbug for example, you're going to have to memorize 4 different versions of the card. That'll be the new PvE version, the new advanced content version, and then the fused advanced content version, and the fused PvE version, which is just insane. So even if they did take my advice here and, you know, had an OG version, that would be 5 different versions of Glowbugs in the game. That is absolutely insane. I say it's mental, but it's honestly not a bad idea because you keep the casuals happy and you're technically innovating and updating the game. So at least for KI, it's a win-win. You know, guys, at this point, sometimes I think they should just be paying me for some of the ideas I think of for the game. Alright, so let's get on to the meat and potatoes of the video. Alright, y'all, the good stuff. Okay, so Shrike, this update is getting absolutely gutted, and everyone is upset about this. Everybody. PvE, PvP, you know, advanced content, PvP wannabes type shit. Like, everyone is upset about this. Okay, so they actually did not show the new Shrike, but they told us what it is. I'll put an image up on screen right now. I think someone in the Discord communicated with Cam, who's a designer at KI, and this is essentially what the spell would do on the card text. So essentially, you would Shrike and get 40% Pierce instead of 50%. And you're also losing the Pierce Blade on the hit, so it would go from 60 to 40. Now, to my understanding with this card, you will gain a pip and reduce lash if you have a trap on the opponent, because this will technically be like a fire or a myth spell with how they're distributing them out in the game. But here's the thing, right? Shrike is essentially a storm card, right? Ever since Shrike came out, it's been like 4 storms. Storm is not a trap school. And what's even funnier is Ratbeard came out the other day in the Discord saying that he thinks that Storm Wizard's own Shrike, or like you literally put it in the game and it's a spell you get for questing through the game if you're like a fire or a storm, I think. I know Storm gets it for sure for free. And Shrike was designed to fix stalling problems like jading, like resist being too good, right? And look at this day, right? Jading is still way too good. Stalling is still a thing. Shields and resist are still too good in the meta. So this next update, we're going to be buffing jading with the heal update. And we're also going to be nerfing one of the only reliable tools against jading as well. Substantially. So just to be clear here, we're getting a 10% nerf net value on Shrike itself. And then we're also losing the Pierce Blade, which basically means you're losing 20 Pierce now on the 2nd and 3rd round of Shrike. And on top of that as well, you're also taking 5% more damage from Backlash. Because for some reason they put this as like a trap dog shit kind of gambit, which makes absolutely no sense. Terrible, terrible idea. So no matter how you look at the new Shrike right now, it is objectively worse. Could you make it work at lower ranks and have fun with it? Yes, absolutely, but from a competitive meta standpoint, it is simply just an objective nerf. I think some people in the community are kind of blinded by this, right? Because some people wanted Shrike to get nerfed, which rightfully so, by the way. Like Storm Elf, I said it's kind of bullshit to have in the game. By keeping Shrike in the game, you are essentially stopping a bunch of the floodgates or whatever to ruining the game even more, right? That's a very good way to put it, I feel like. And a lot of the time, people, especially in the PvP community, don't really know what they're asking for. Like I said, jading and resist, objectively speaking right now in the meta, is through the roof, and people still want life to be better. People still want Shrike to be out of the game. But instead of fixing resist and actually fixing the life school to make life actually a school that's not just about not playing the game, we're just gonna nerf one of the only good counters to it, which makes absolutely no sense, right? So I don't really know, man. I really hope they take another look at Shrike. I think Stormbringer said they might be open to putting it back up to 50%, but even if they do that, y'all, you're still getting a 10% pierce nerf on the second and the third hit in Shrike. And you're also taking 5% more lash than usual, which again is okay, but they have to fix resist, shield, sprays, and they have to fix stalling strats with jading in the game. Overall, I think this is a cool idea, and I do have faith they can get it right. I just hope they get it right, because, you know, I love this game. I see their vision, I see their ideas, but sometimes they just put the stuff out and they don't fix it for years and years and years. Look at jading, look at the bounce school, you know, look at scales. So as positive as I want to be about this update, it's on KI at the end of the day to listen to the community and update the game properly. But as always, let me know your thoughts and feedback in the comments below, y'all. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you on the next one. Take care and goodbye.